Welcome to the Empire of Real Estate podcast. On this episode, we have Jeffrey Afonte. He is a real estate agent, team leader, and a real estate investor and developer. So he has a ton of experience and a ton of wisdom to share with you today. And he's going to be talking about how he started during the real estate crash, how he bought his first investment property, and how today he's graduated to flipping property and developing property. So if you are a real estate entrepreneur, you are going to love this episode. Let's dive right into it. Welcome to the Empire of Real Estate podcast, where we interview top real estate entrepreneurs building their very own real estate empires so you can learn from their big wins and even their failures. If you like this kind of content, smash the like button and subscribe. Let's dive right into the podcast. So Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Of course, of course. So Jeff, I'm excited to have you on. You have your hands in a lot of different things. You're a team leader. You've been in real estate for over a decade, I'd say now, right?
Yeah.
And you've done a lot.
Not to age myself. Age myself.
So that's awesome, man. And then on top of that, you've been an investor. You're also a developer, so you're building property. So you have a lot of value here. So to start off, I want to go into your journey of getting started with real estate in case there's people listening that are just about to pull the trigger, get their license. And then throughout the episode, we can kind of dive deeper into how you built up multiple streams of income and then started getting into bigger projects like developments and things that have really become really lucrative. But starting at square one with getting your license, how did that all look and how was your journey just to start?
Yeah. So that's a story in itself. I was doing mortgages before doing real estate, and the market crashed. So everyone that was in the industry kind of just like scattered all over, right? There was no money to be made with the subprime lending times, right? And it was interesting times, man, because I remember, being a non-experienced loan officer at the time. I had this client that literally had like a 550 score and like late, like bunch of debt. Guy got qualified for 300,000. And I was like, what is going on here? He got the house, got approved. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, this is insane. I was like, but I mean, what they were doing, I don't know, right? But obviously that all resulted to what led to the big, situation that happened with the market crash. So anyways, I went back, started working, 9 to 5 job and wasn't happy, right? And then one of the attorneys that I was dealing with at the time, he hit me up randomly one day. He's like, "Hey Jeff, I'm opening up a brokerage, and I know you did well with the mortgages, and you were that guy that just stood out, and I would love to have you come on board." I was like, "Oh, shit, real estate, like, really?" He's like, "Give it a try. Like, you never know, man. I think you're too good at it." So I was like, "All right, whatever." So I took the course and blah blah. Next thing, I'm licensed, and my first deal was my cousin, obviously. My first deal I did, and um, and then from there, the second year, I did like 3 transactions, and I was liking it. I was like, "Okay, this is pretty cool." And then 2011 or so, 12, I just got fed up with 9 to 5 and corporate world, just kissing ass, excuse the language, but it was just what it is, right? It was
Yep.
just I don't put up with that stuff, man. I like to treat people fair with respect, and I would like the same being done to me as well, right? And I remember my manager at the time, he was writing me up for a disciplinary action or something stupid that happened that had no fault into it. I was just following my judgment, and I did the right thing at the time, but clearly they thought I didn't. That's when I was like, "That's it, done." Left my 2 week notice. I was actually going for a promotion, um, a big promotion. I was going to be a part of a leadership program they were rolling out at the time. This was with GTech at the time, and they I remember the one of the head managers came down from corporate and put me aside because we ran like a supervisory. We were like a supervisor there. We ran the call center there at the time. She pulled me out of the podium. She brought me to the conference room. She shut the door. Could I say, is it okay to speak up, or
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it
yeah,
okay?
100%. Yeah.
She said, Jeff, what the fuck are you doing? Just like, I'm like, whoa, what happened? She's like, you leaving a 2 week notice. You're in for a promotion. What the hell are you doing? She's like, are you losing your mind? People would die over this. And I said, you know what? I get it and I appreciate it, but I am not kissing no one's ass. That's it. You know, I'm
Yep.
not kissing no one's ass, and you know what? I felt a certain way, and I feel that I'm not being treated fairly. I put my time in, and I put my work in, and and then she's like, think about it, please think about it, think about it, think about it, think about it. Like the financial chief executive was the one that pulled me from like 30 people out of everyone. You know what made a big difference, right? Those individuals, they were all wearing just casual clothes. I always wear my suit, man. My suit and my tie, man.
Yep.
And I was the only one that had my suit and tie, my shoes looking sharp. Boom. And that was like a really big impression for the chief executive that was there. And not only that, I carried myself well, I spoke well, and I had good conversations with everyone and
Yes.
all that stuff, right? So, and then that right there made the difference. And he started asking, hey, who's that dude right there? Who's that guy? And then that's how I ended up getting that promotion that was coming for it. But I left. I left. I just burned the ship, man. I burned the ship. And I remember the head guy, I had a good relationship with him because so it goes by tiers, right? You have your manager, then the other manager, then the higher up. The higher up came to me and said, hey, Jeff, listen, if you ever want to come back here, you're more than welcome to come back, blah, 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 right? All this stuff. Give me good, show me love, right?
Yeah.
I didn't tell him, I didn't spill all the crap that was, because it was just, that's the corporate life, just gossip, everybody. I didn't say anything. I just kept my mouth shut. I didn't say he said, she said, none of that. I said, I'm leaving. That's it. Kept everything to myself, right? So when I left, started real estate. That's when the agent David, I don't know how to say his last name, but I remember he came up to me and he says, "Hey, are you fucking crazy leaving your full-time job to do real estate?" And I was like, I before I spoke, I thought what he was saying, and I said, all due respect, I said, I determine the outcome of my destination. And that's what I said. And I stuck by that, you know. And he's like, oh, all right. So that year I ended up closing like 25 transactions, which was phenomenal. Being a rookie realtor, right? I just blew out of the water, and it was just like, whoa, what is this dude doing, right? And prior, well, there was a story in between that too, right? Prior to that, right, when I told him that, I had a meeting with my broker at the time, and my mindset wasn't there quite, like in terms of like thinking big. And I remember, my broker said, "Hey, how much income do you want to make every month?" And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, all right, I'm thinking, all right, my mortgage at the time I had a little mortgage, right? My payment, my car payment, electrical. I'm like counting, like, okay, I'm like, 3,600 a month. And he just started laughing. He's like, 3,600 a month? He's like, what the heck? Like, and I'm like turning red over here. I'm like, did I say something wrong? Like, I just want my bills to be covered, right? And that's a lot of the mentality that a lot of folks are having, even till today, right? Because they don't know any better, right? And then he's like, he took out a book. It was Think and Grow Rich, right? He said, I want you to read this book, and I want you to really read it. So this is probably like one of the first books I ever read in my life, right? In that time, right? So I've read many books now, but that book led me to open my mind dramatically. And let me tell you, that year, with those transactions, I mean, we were at a different price point
Yeah.
that time. So, I closed 25 transactions. I made about a little bit above 80,000 that year, which is the most I ever made in my life, bro. Because I was making like 36,000 in corporate, 40,000, I think it was. Um, and I thought I was the shit, man, making 40,000 a year. I'm like, oh, I'm cool, like I'm great. I got my security job, whatever, right?
Yep.
Um, and but that book opened my mind to whole new heights, man. And not only that, right? You got to have the drive, right? The willingness to succeed, and you have to take action, right? You have to take action, and I knew I had a lot that built in me already, but the book just enforced that even stronger, and it just like 10x it, like it was like boom, like oh my gosh, this was like the thing I needed to hear. And um and and then next thing, the following year, I went to 120K, 150, 200, 250, 300 to one point a year. Me and my wife, we end up with then we got into the investment side, which we're going to get into later, but then we started doing some investments. So with the real estate and investment side, I think we end up hitting like 600,000 one year. Like that was phenomenal. I mean, we put a lot of work into it, but let me tell you, it was exciting times, man. And that just changed things completely for us, man. It was a game changer.
That is awesome. So it sounds like you were in mortgages before you even did real estate. So you have a unique perspective. So some people on this channel, they are interested in getting to the mortgage side, or some people are interested in getting to the real estate side, and some people
Right.
just want to become investors. So from that perspective of mortgage versus being a realtor, which one did you prefer better? And then which one is also more lucrative in your opinion?
I think they're both great industry, right? And so I think it bases on a lot on the personality, on the individual itself, right? If you think of it in the mortgage, right, you're pretty much in the office, processing paperwork, structuring deals, sitting down with people, dealing with their finances, getting things structured out to make sure that it works within the guidelines, right? So you're more in an office. A realtor is out there showing houses, more out in the streets, right? You're driving a lot more. So it really comes down to what type of environment you're okay with, right? If you're okay with both, then you'll be okay, right? With both scenarios. I know realtors that have a mortgage license, and I know mortgage people that have a realtor license, and they do both. Obviously they can't, do both deals. It has to be separate completely, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's folks that are doing both transactions. Um, I think that from looking back and looking at the whole structure, I think that everyone that's in mortgage real estate should be doing some type of investment, regardless. Um, Whether you do more of it or less of it, I mean, that's really completely up to that individual. But I think that we're here in this field helping and guiding people to obtain home ownership, right? And if we as realtors are not practicing what we are speaking, right, then how can you really speak from the heart, right? I know what it's like buying the first home. I went through that, right? I bought
Yeah.
my first home when I was 21 years old, right? And 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 it was a situation. I have saved up some money. And the reason why I saved up money was because I wanted the new Maxima that was coming out in 2000 when they changed the whole model. That was my goal. I wanted a Nissan Maxima, right, with leather down, everything. I was saving up for that car. It was like 20,000, 22,000 at the time. I saved about 8,000. And I remember a conversation my mom had with me. She said, "I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to give you an advice. You may not listen to me, but if you do, that's on you." Right? That's all she said. She says, "Well, I would advise that you take that $8,000 instead of buying a car, buy a house." I'm like, "Mom, buy a house. I'm 21 years old. I'm still thinking about parties and having like that wasn't in my mind frame. I'm like, buy a house? Like you kidding me? And I said, and then and I went to sleep at night, and that just kept like daunting on me. Like it was like a nightmare, like recycling over, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house. Like you should listen to your mom, listen to your mom, right? So then I said, all right, fine. I went to see Steve Antonelli was my first he's still around actually. He probably doesn't remember me, but he was my first loan officer that got me approved, and actually down the street from my office now. And he got me approved. He's like, you're approved for 200,000. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm approved. I'm like 21 years old. I'm like, oh my gosh. He's like, yeah, you're good. Your credit's good. You got work and all that. Yeah. And my first realtor was Matt Tresca from he was at Remax at the time. He's still around too, actually. We talk every once in a while. So he was my first realtor that got me my first home, and it was a three family, you know. And we I bought my first house. There was 186,000. It was a three family for 186,000,
Wow.
and I remember getting in there, and when I closed on the deal, I knock on the door, introduce myself. It was these guys from Nigeria. Yeah, great people, awesome people, and have a strong character, right? And I'm like, hey, I'm introducing myself. It was a little different, man, because we went through the showing. There was other people that did, the showing. So, and then I didn't even do inspections at the time. It was different times. Like it was just weird how it was done. Nothing like today. And so when we closed is when they actually knew who, it was. So I'm knocking on the door. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, oh, who are you? He's like, oh, I'm your new landlord. So the guy just started laughing in front of me, like this little kid, like you're a landlord. Like he started laughing, and I'm like, what is going on here? You know? And it was a really exciting moment, And I'm like, no, I'm serious. I'm your landlord. He's like, could I see your paperwork? And I'm like, yeah, this is the closing sheet right
That is
here.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So that was the first intro, but yeah, no, I went off on a tangent on that. But that's a story that I share with people that are going into home ownership, because I've been there. I know what it's like. Is the process, and I can speak from the heart and speak from experience. When now is elevated now to a whole different realm right now. I mean, between me and my wife, we in the past 5-6 years, we've done about 24 flips, if that. We've done quite a bit, and we seen it all. We seen it all. Some properties we kept, some we kept for a little bit, we sold after, and um so forth. You juggle with it, right? It's just the game, right? The monopoly game, right?
Yeah.
um you buy and hold and sell, right? Um so now it's elevated, now we're doing new development now. So now we got into new construction, which is a very exciting field. So right now we have one almost done, and we have three other projects lined up right now. We're building a two-family for Providence police officer right now.
Wow.
So he came to us, and he loved the work that we did, and um, you know, and now we're doing that for him. And also we have another one that came to us, building a single family, a beautiful home. We're going to be showing that on video soon. So all that stuff, it's going to be pretty nice. Um, Showcasing, the type of quality of work that we're doing. And we're also doing it for ourselves too. So we're in all different avenues. The biggest one is the 6 unit that we're doing for one of our clients. Um, Reached out to us as well. So we're doing a 6 unit, which is, a big, this is probably the biggest project I've done so far. Since I'm considering myself to be new still on the development side of it, I'm still learning different stuff. But I tell you what, I enjoy it. I love it. And it's just a whole different animal, which is beautiful, So
I could definitely
yeah.
see that. So
Yeah.
if you were to rank all three of them, like being an agent, doing fix and flip, and then also development, how would you rank them as far as like the difficulty level and then also how lucrative it can become? And then
Right.
also the buy and hold stuff, add that in there too, because I think that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. So for the fix and flips, right, the the thing with that is you never know what you're gonna get. I mean, you could do a little inspection here and there. There's always gonna be some miscellaneous stuff that's gonna pop up, right? I mean, we end up getting one recently in Warwick, and we still have that. We're still working on that right now. And we came across like major structural foundation issues, and we were not expecting that. So our cost then just went up from just that alone. It delayed the job, everything, like it's just a whole bunch of stuff. So we had to like take it pretty much. It was on a slab, but the whole thing was just pretty much done. Like the house, I didn't even know how the house was still standing. That's how bad it was. It was on
Wow.
the verge of collapsing. Yeah, that's how bad it was. So, we did what we did. We got it all taken care of. It's solid now. We're good. But we had to tear the whole entire floor from that first level out, uh, and we had to redo the wood. It was bad. It was bad. Every time it rained, it flooded the underneath the
Wow.
house. It was bad. It was like a foot of water. So that was producing moist, mold, all that stuff. So it got pretty bad. So these are things that you come across when you get the the, the fix and flips, right? The headaches that you kind of deal with. Yet you're not doing a new construction ground up, but you can come across situations that can cost you some money, right?
Yep.
In the long run. So with a new construction, it's flat out everything is new, right? Um, I think the biggest challenge is just getting your team lined up, right? You have the excavation, the foundation, right? That you got your framers that go in. After your framers, that you have, some electrical work. You got the rough plumbing that goes in. Obviously, the framers do the roof, the windows, the siding, all that stuff. They put the exterior doors, all that stuff, and then you got your installation that goes in. And during this whole process, you got inspection periods that go out because the inspectors have to go out and start seeing some of this stuff, right?
Yes.
Then you got your sewer connection that has to go in your sewer. Then you got your water connection as well. So all this is like step by step process. And then the challenge that we come across here in Rhode Island, or any in New England, I would say anywhere in New England is the winter season, right? Because once it gets cold, they don't. You can't get gas in, you can't get water lines in, you can't do the sewers, like you can't. That stops until it starts to warm up again, which you're looking at possibly March, April. So right around November, I think next month they shut down. That's it. You can't do anything until April. So you lose all that time frame. So if you're building now, I mean, you can literally get a house up in 2 months, like from foundation and the whole framing and everything. If you got a good team, you can get it done in 2 months. What's going to delay is just the extra stuff, the water connection, the gas line connections, all that stuff, right? Um, it's a process. So I think most of it is really coming, strategizing on the new construction where flip, you're just like you're going in, right? Bang it out. You're gonna come across issues, you deal with them, you know. If you were to tell me what I would rather do, new construction or flips, I would say new construction, hands down.
Okay.
New
Okay.
construction.
And how lucrative are the two in comparison? Like which one, like on the average flip, the average new construction, who's making more money? And at the end of the day, at the end of the year, full-time developer, full-time flipper, who's doing better? And then also the agent piece too, because I know people want to use that as a gateway. But like how is that in your opinion? Because you've done all three, so you have a unique perspective.
Right. New construction, that hands down, you definitely got bigger gains there. I mean, you have in your house um with new equipment, right? Versus a property that you're buying, right? Um, that's been used, beat up, tore down, right? And now you got to take apart and modify with what's there, right? You can't really do much, right? It is the structure's already there.
Hmm.
You could try to change some stuff, maybe if it, depending on the layout, but there's only so much you can do with that, right? Um, so in terms of profit wise, I mean, in a flip, you can you could potentially, walk away with like 80, 70, you know, depending on what you put into it, on your cost, all that stuff, your carrying costs. Um, in a new construction, you know, I mean, you could potentially profit, anywhere above the 150s and up easily. Um, because you're developing all this stuff yourself, right? You have your own team, your own staff. So that's something to look, and again, if those that don't have the experience to go into new development, obviously they just stick to what they know. But what I would say is expand your knowledge, right? Why not start learning, um, the other areas as well, right? And I think that's one of the big issues that a lot of agents today are having. They're depending on one source of income, and that's your buyer and your clients. That's it, right?
Yep.
Which it's okay to a certain extent, but you're already in the field. Why not take advantage of it yourself, right? You're in the greatest industry that you can possibly be in, which is real estate. Why not do it for yourself as well, right? So, I would say is a realtor can do the real estate stuff or run a brokerage if they want to, if that's their thing, have agents working, and then also, you know, do some investments here and there, maybe new developments here and there. Like there's different pillars of income that you can gain out of this, right? And then now you have also the hold side of it as well. When you hold a property, you got a multi-unit now, you can rent it out and now get passive income now, right?
Yep.
We have this property, a three-family on the Federal Hill side, which is phenomenal. Um, we're doing temporary rentals right now, not Airbnb. And we're doing one floor is renting out for 2,700 a month. It's a two-bedroom,
Wow.
and the third floor is renting for 2,500 a month right now, which is beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Um, and my second floor is a long-term tenant I have there. He's always been there. I kept him there, so he's not even paying, what he should be paying. And just to tell you this, right? When I bought that house, um, when I bought that house, just to tell you the mentality of some of the people, scare money don't make no money, right? And I say this, and this is why. When I walked in that house, there must have been like six other investors there. Came from Boston, from all over, right? They came to see the property. Boom, they're there. They're all like, ah. And then this guy comes to me. He's like, "Hey, what do you think about the house? I'm your competitor. You're asking me what I think about the house. Obviously, I'm gonna say, hey, I think it's a piece of shit. That's what I think it's a piece of shit. you know, I'm like, that's you asking me, you're my competitor. You ask me what I think, and it's a
Yeah.
piece of shit,
Yeah.
right? I knew what I was in for, right? I bought the house. I as soon as I walked out of there, I told the dude, I said, listen, I want the house. I took him to the side. I said, you got a PNS on you right now? He says, yes, I do. Pull it right out. Let's get this done right now. Here's a check. done, right there, done. Now that property is producing close to $6,000 a month right now.
Wow.
Well, I'll say 4,000 profit right now because after paying the mortgage and stuff, so it's generating 4,000 right now profit right now every month, which
That's
is
huge.
sweet. So the house
Wow.
is paying itself.
4,000.
Yeah, and that's awesome, right? So um and and then I started doing some work to it and stuff like that. We fixed it up and we got it to where it needs to be. But the whole point is that you know there's a lot of people out there that are scared to make the move, man. And I say this very, I'll say this in a kind way is you got to take risk, right? You got to take risk in order to see your rewards, right? A lot of folks they hold back and they just stay back waiting, 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 right? And they're scared to make that first step, right? So is either you stay where you are and see no results, or either take that step and maybe you're not going to see no result, but at least you took the step and you might see results, right? So either way, you might as well take the step and move forward, right?
Exactly.
and
Yep.
and and that's one thing. Like me and my wife, we have that same mentality. We're like, we're not scared, man. We just go at it, man. We're just like, boom, like on to the next. Let's do it, right? We just think about it a little bit. We analyze it, look at the numbers, make sense. Boom, that's it, done. We don't go back, sleep on it. Oh, because by the time you do that, you're gonna have 10 million things, excuses. It's gonna tell you not to go forward, right? And it's just like that buyer that's want to buy their first home, right? They bring their in-laws, their uncle, their grandmother, and their son of the son come to the family, and they all experts all of a sudden in real estate. Mind you, they never sold a house before. They probably owned one or two, but then they're the experts. Oh no, you shouldn't buy this house. This house is too expensive for you. Blah 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 blah. And then they put all this stuff in their mind, and then they get scared of shit, and they don't want to buy the house anymore. Like, oh no, we don't want to buy no more. Like, and I said, listen, when I speak to my advisor, listen, you could bring your in-laws, whatever, but their opinions shouldn't matter. What matters is what you're doing for yourself. If it makes sense for you and your significant other and what you're trying to accomplish,
Yes.
then you go forward, right? And obviously you have me here as a guide. Obviously I won't, I'm not going to fail you in that aspect. I'm going to tell you what it is, right? But at the end of the day, the opinions of others should not matter. What should matter is what you think should happen and how it should roll. That's it.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. So, you know, but that's my whole theory on the different pillars of investments as an agent, as a new developer, and as a flipper, and running an office as well. So I think that having multiple streams of income is the way to go. We shouldn't put all our eggs in one basket, as we heard before. Warren Buffett says it as well. I mean, we should have different streams of income coming in, and we can do that definitely. There's property management as well that you can get into as well. I mean, there's so many different areas that one can dive into in real estate, which is beautiful.
It's huge. Yeah. So going into that a little bit, starting an office, or building a team, at what stage did you decide to do that? And was it easier or harder than you expected? And on top of that, is it as lucrative as it seems from the outside? And I have a team, so I have some perspective and insight into that, but I want to get your take on it, your opinion, and, just in
Yeah,
case someone's out there listening that might want to start a
yeah.
team.
I think that nothing in life is easy per se, right? I think everything comes with sacrifice, and you have to put your time into it, right? Um, if it was easy, everyone would do it, right? That's
Yeah.
that's that's what I always think. If it was easy, everybody would do it, and it's not. I mean, you deal with challenges, you deal with different characters, different personalities, everything, right? You just and then you bring them to your environment where you're trying to teach them something different, right?
Yes.
And everyone has different ways of teaching, different methods of showing, you know, teaching someone, your concept and your philosophies, I would say, you know, it to some extent, some people may not take that the right way or may not interpret that right to the right way. And the way I look at it like this, right? When it comes to dealing with people, and I got this from a teaching from Bruce Lee. He he had a bunch of students, and he says, "Master, how can we become as great as you?" He's like, "Okay, good. Let's do some basic moves." So he was there doing, boom, boom, boom. He was watching all of them doing the basics. So he was analyzing everyone. So then he set them down on the table, and then he took a clear glass and he filled it up with Coke, right, soda. And then he took another cup and then he filled it up with water. And he says, "You see this, the Coke?" He says, "This is your mindset. This is everything you were taught and trained to be is right here. What you asking me to do is to teach you to be pure as water. And in order for me to do this, you're going to have to let go of everything that you haven't been taught and clear so then I can fill my knowledge into your mind." That was brilliant, man.
It is.
I was brilliant. I was like, wow, and it's so true because we were brought up different. We all come from different cultures, backgrounds, right? We were never taught things right, right? We
Nope.
learned through life and experience, school of the hard knock, right? And and now, you have these Asians that are coming here and we have to teach them and show them the right way of doing things. And and I tell them, hey, listen, you can go as far as you want. Just how far do you want to go? That's a question only you can answer, not me. I can show you, but are you willing to follow?
Yes. Yep.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, so I mean, I think that great leadership, comes with, your character, personality, um, and just being a role model, right? In general. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not. Me and my wife, we're working together, running this office here, this brokerage here, and you know, we have such a great environment here with everyone. We get along with every single person. When we come out, we tell them, hey, bring your spouse, your significant other. Let's meet everyone, your family. Like, let's all get together, right?
That's
And
great.
it just becomes a great atmosphere for everyone, right? Everyone feels comfortable, everyone knows each other, and it's just great, man. And that's the energy that we try to implement here in our offices. We're all family, man. We're all good. We all have our struggles, right? But we're here, right? We're here. We're
Yes.
people. We can fight through it, right? And we'll overcome it. And that's it.
Exactly. That makes total sense. That's great. So you essentially you started producing as an agent, you were doing well, and then you decided, hey, I want to build a team. So did you find a couple agents here and there to recruit when you first started, or did you just kind of like go at it and just start bringing people on as fast as you could?
Yeah. So when we started, well, I started with my other group when we started, and it was actually by accident that it kind of led to that. Um, because I owned the building at the time, where I was at before, and I remember my broker, we were talking, and I was gonna rent it out to a church, and then he's like, "Hey, why don't we just turn that into an office space?" We get some agents in there. We can work the model. I'll show you what we can do. And I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot, right?
Yeah,
What's to lose, right? And there you go, right? We took the chance, the risk of doing it, and with time, people, I know a lot of people, and we got along very well with a lot of the folks, and you know, again, they want to follow someone that can really lead them and is genuine, right?
Yes.
And character. And I don't go out there and say, oh, I'm the greatest or I'm the best. None of that stuff because you know what? You put it's just put your money where your mouth is, right? Is that I think that's the saying, right? You lead by actions, man. And that speaks for itself, right?
Yes.
Um, and that's pretty much it. And then just folks just started, reaching out to us and we connected with a lot of people. They were curious what we were doing and such and such. And I said, hey, if you ever want to come through, check us out. There's no commitment, right? And I told my agents this is like, listen, you're not hostage here. I know that there's agents that are going to grow and they're going to end up doing their own thing and they're going to leave. And that's okay. We're all been there at one point, right?
Yep.
We all started somewhere and we were now in a different place. So it's just the nature of the business. And that's why, when you ask me, what's the best, avenue to be in, it's like for me, us having a brokerage here, it's more about helping and developing people, right? Um, that they leave out of here different, right? For us is not per se like the money that comes from that because it's not. I'd say mostly is the investment that we're doing on a day-to-day basis and the daily businesses that we're doing. That's where my focus, well, I say my full focus is, but you know, that's where my income is coming from, right? So, but yeah, but that's basically my whole theory on the agency and having the brokerage. But we love it here. We love all our agents here, man, and we treat everyone with respect, which is a big difference, right? And we help them, man. We help them. We help them.
That's the biggest thing. You got to be giving
Yeah,
value every day, or they're gonna
yeah.
they're gonna eventually leave, and they should if they're not getting value.
Right, right.
That's the biggest
We
thing.
we have one agent just before you go to the next. We have one agent that already done a couple flips on her own with her husband,
Good.
just being here and us telling her and connected her with the right people. She's done pretty well for herself. So and she
Yeah.
appreciates that.
Yeah, that's huge. The flip thing is big for agents. I think it's the next
Yeah,
step,
yeah,
Obviously investment property is so important because you get that residual component. So if you have a dry month or something happens with real estate,
right.
you're not sweating it out because you have that residual income. But the fix and flip, in my opinion, I see it as a great way to create big chunks of cash that you could then roll into buy and hold stuff to give you that long-term foundation.
Correct. Absolutely. Hands down.
Yeah, I
And
think,
and every agent should be doing it.
and they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. I think maybe what in your opinion, 10% maybe
Oh my
do it,
gosh. I
15%.
I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but I know for a fact that not many are doing it, and it's because there's this lack of knowledge and resources. And that's something that can easily be attainable. Like it's who you know, right?
Yes.
And then they. I heard the saying, what separates a millionaire from a billionaire is who he knows.
Hmm.
That's the difference, right? So, um, yeah, I mean, for those that are listening, I mean, I encourage you to seek out and start learning, diving into, how to make these investments. And don't be scared. Don't be scared. You're gonna fail, but you become stronger, right? Through the failures and the obstacles that you face, and you also gain a lot more knowledge through that process. And the beauty of it is that many people don't have to fail as bad as other people that done it in the past, right? Because if you're listening to them and you're learning from them, then you might pick up a few things that you can avoid, right? Some pitfalls you can avoid that can take you a little further.
That makes total sense. And now, if there's people out there, I meet these agents sometimes, and they're just like, "Hey, I just want to focus on selling real estate. I don't want to invest. I don't want to flip." What do you think the odds are of someone becoming actually like financially free? Just focusing on that one pillar,
That's
not
tough. Yeah. you have a better chance of winning the lottery, I would say. Listen, it everyone needs to put some type of work into applying some key concepts to investing their money. Um, you this we should not be working for money. Money should be working for us, right?
Yes.
And that's the mentality that each and everyone that's listening to this should have, is that money should be working for you. And that's how these millionaires are, their mindset is. Um, they have money, they don't have money sitting around. They have it out there investing into other projects, other stuff. I mean, there's countless things that they're doing, right? But we have to start implementing the same mindset and the same mentality because, with inflation being as where is that, a lot of uncertainty now in today's world. I mean, we have to even be better, and think about our future because and that would be no social security by the time we're gonna
Mm.
retire. You know what I mean? So my retirement right now, it's my real estate portfolio. That's the way I'm thinking right now. My real estate portfolio is and right now with our portfolio, I was talking to my wife. With what we have now, we if we stop doing what we're doing, by the time in 15 years, if we want to call it quits, we should walk away with a good 3 million, if that, right? But again, then I'm thinking, where's the value of the dollar is going to be in 50, if the dollar is still around, right? Where is it going to be in 15 years, right? And how much can 3 billion buy us, right? In the scope of really, you know what I mean? So now you got to think bigger. Now I don't think 3 million is going to be enough. That's my thought. So now I go, okay, so I gotta aim for 10, you know, 10,
Yes.
15 mil. So, or unless I have some businesses then that produces passive income, because that's how you got to think too.
Smart.
But
Yep.
but you got to start now, because everything is going to get more expensive, right? And it's just going to be a little bit more difficult to be able to get things. So, um, perfect example of this. I mean, I had a client 5 years ago, um, that wanted to buy a home for his family. He kept saying, "Oh, this is too expensive. Oh, this was too expensive." I mean, yeah, multifamily is going for 200, 230 at the time. I found them this beautiful property, um, in near Johnson and Wales University. It was for 229. I said, "This is it." He says, "Oh my gosh, no, too much. It was 229. Gonna buy it." And this guy was in my office 3 weeks ago. He just got the getting pre-approved again. He got out. What's this out? The market elevated so much he got pushed out of the market. So with his income alone, he couldn't no longer buy by himself. So now his wife got added on it. We helped her credit score come up. Now they're getting ready to buy now. But now they're gonna be buying in the 400 or 500s now, when they could have bought at the 239, 230. So they would have gained already. That house now is worth 500,000 right now. Where is that located? So they would have gained almost 200,000 in equity in the last 4 years by just holding on to the property.
What a missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity, right? So this is what I'm saying to those realtors out there is like, listen, start now. Don't wait. Don't wait. If you got an opportunity now to do it and make it happen, then do it. And if you don't have the opportunity, then figure it out and make it happen, right?
Yes.
And that's it. And it's either I think it was Marcus Aurelius that said is either, um if you don't like your situation that you're in, then create your situation. Create it. That's it. There's no excuse. There's no excuse, you
No.
know. And
There's not.
I remember my one of my boss. I remember I was in working in Bank of America investment before I hit the mortgages. I was in doing with the stock market and stuff like that. Great field, by the way. Um, and I didn't make all my calls, right? So his question was, "Hey, why didn't you make these calls?" And I started making excuses. Oh no, because he said just like this. He didn't even say stop. He just put his hands out like this, and I stopped. And he says, "Excuses are for assholes. Everyone has one."
Mm-hmm.
So I was
Yep.
like, "Oh shit." I was like, "Oh,
True.
that's
Yeah.
it. That was it." I was like, I got on that phone call. I started making sales calls. I was like, "Oh man."
That's wild.
But is it true, right? We all make excuses for ourselves, man, and we keep saying why we shouldn't or why that. Or we blame my mother for why I'm like this and that. And we keep going and going and going. It just doesn't stop, man. I said,
Nah.
listen, stop your shit, get up, get going, and take massive action. That's it. That's
That's the
it.
only thing that's gonna fix it.
And you will see results. I guarantee you will see results, right?
Yes.
So there's opportunities out there. We just got to go out there and start looking for them. That's it.
There's so many. There's so many. And
There
especially
is.
now with this new thing coming out with the buyer agency and all that. I mean, it's more important now than ever for agents to focus on, building strong income streams, multiple income streams, and also just
Absolutely.
getting better at their craft and adding more value. So what are your
Absolutely.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, this is, a game changer for the whole industry, you know. Um, I mean, I was supposed to be in a webinar earlier today. I missed it because I got caught up with another meeting, but they were just talking about that. I'm gonna have to watch the repeat later on. Um, so, you know, agents now have to provide value to their clients. And it's going to be a whole game changer. A lot of people are not going to like it. They're going to leave the industry, which it's okay if it's not a model that fits for you, then that's all right. The people that are strong and are there, hungry, that do want it, will get it. We'll get
Yes.
it.
Yep.
So some may look at it as a bad thing. I'm looking at it as a great thing that's coming, and this is why. It's going to be an increase in pay for everyone across the platform. Those that are preparing themselves now and those that are getting ready for it, right? You have to train your mindset because everything is in a mindset, right? How you look at things and how you perceive it makes a big difference. Makes a big difference, right? If I show you, hey, what do you think about this pen? You're gonna have your perception of it, right? That's your perception. I might have my different perspective on it, right?
Yes.
But if I present to you something that is logical and makes sense in both our minds, then we connect. And therefore, is how we say it, how we present it, is how you're going to perceive it as well. As long as it makes sense to you and me, then we're good. And I think the buyers are going to have to really shift that mindset into adapting those concepts when they're meeting with clients now, right? Um, and not only that, it's really getting their game up. You got to get your game up, you know. I mean, I'm not saying take them out in a limousine and show them houses. That would be nice, a little
Yeah.
champagne, a little bottle of champagne. So what house do you want to look at today, sir?
Yep. Yeah.
That would be nice. But yeah, I mean, jokes aside, I think that agents do really got to step up their game, and we're all guilty of this, right? We get so busy and we just slap our clients on MLS and we let MLS do the work for us. And oh yeah, call me when you see a house, right? And we're doing other stuff and killing our time where it shouldn't be like that.
Well, that's my train of thought. So I think that agents is really gonna have to, shift their game and really you know, step up their game in their presentation and just everything in general. They're just gonna have to elevate their game a lot stronger this time around. Unfortunately, we have no control over the stuff that's going on. The only thing we can do is adapt and get ready for it at the end of the day.
I agree 1,000%. You're right. There's nothing we can do about it. We just got to kind of add value and push through it, push through the storm, more or less. I mean, same thing with the rates. There's nothing you can do about those, but you just got to keep pushing.
Right. Absolutely.
I agree. 100%. Well, hey, Jeff, thank you for coming on. I definitely appreciate it. It's been awesome. And if you guys have any questions, drop it in the comment section below and we'll do our best to get back to you. Thanks so much for tuning in.
All right. All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, Rob.
Yeah, no problem, Jeff. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Hi, my name is Chris with the Empire Real Estate YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about real estate entrepreneurship and building your real estate empire. If you like that kind of content, smash the like button and subscribe. If you did enjoy the podcast, make sure to check out our entire playlist from the Coffee with Closers podcast, where you can see all the episodes we've done so far. I hope you enjoy it.